Howdy everyone, my name's Corey with Art's Really Cool. Today is the 13th day of Painting's Really Cool. So today's memory is PG-13.
Ooh.
So if you're under, don't you watch. It's got adult content and things that are not for under 13 or under 21. Anyways, so let's get started. Back when I lived in Arizona, I was staying with a friend. Same friend I actually made a painting for earlier where we went camping. We decided we were going to go to Mexico and we were going to go on one of those cruises, like a booze cruise, basically. Like we were going to just go party. And we got ready to go. We were living in Phoenix area and she wanted to make a detour to Tucson to meet a guy. And I was like, oh, I'm along for the ride, I guess. So we went there. The guy never showed up for her or whatever. And it was too late to go. So we stayed the night there. But then once the morning came, we're like, well, we don't want to just go back. Let's go anyways, even if we can't do the cruise. So we decided to drive. We looked first for the closest town to cross over. And I don't know if you've heard of it, and if you live there, I'm sorry, but there's a town called Nogales, and it's a very scary town. So we get there, and we didn't know it was scary or anything like that, but the border control, when we went in, didn't stop us at all, didn't look at passports, didn't care. So I felt uncomfortable with that. That was the whole reason I wanted to go, was to use my passport. So I was like, well, that doesn't seem like the way it should be, but okay. And we got in there and it just looked a little scary for us. Like there was just a lot of different things going on and neither of us spoke Spanish really fluently. We could speak it a little and we could understand a little, but like we couldn't have held a conversation. But anyway, so we went driving around a little bit and we didn't have a camera. I think it was before cell phones with cameras, or ours were really bad. We turned them off so we didn't get international charges. That's why. But we wanted to get a disposable, and so there was nowhere to park. So she stopped by a convenience store in the middle of like the downtown area, and I got out to go into the store, but she couldn't stay there, so she drove away. And I went into the store, found a camera, was able to buy it, came back out, and she was nowhere to be found.
Oh, God.
I was panicked. I was like, this town scares me. I don't speak the language well enough. Where did she go? We don't have our cell phones. We can't turn them on because of the international charges. And I was like, what do I do next? So I'm going to finish that story while I'm painting. But now I'll tell you about what I'm doing. So I'm going to paint on a 12 by 24 inch canvas, which I pre-painted the sides and a little of the top, so that when I pour it over, I don't have to touch up the sides and stuff, which you'll understand in a minute. And what I'm going to do is have, obviously, a black base. And I'm going to I've got these really cool, they're called pearl paints, or at least that's what I call them. I'm going to take pearl paints. There's 5 different colors. They all look like this, which basically they just look like white. There's one of these containers that's stained purple, so it looks a little purple, but I don't know how you stain these, but anyways, it is stained. So there's 5 colors here. This one's green, purple, blue, red, and yellow. So I'm going to stack them. I'm going to make like little ring pours, kind of like I did last time with these tiny little shot glass things. I'm going to make 6 of them this time, but I'm going to keep them separate, right? But so they're going to be small, not quite as big as they were last week when I did my high school inspired one. But then I'm going to make them separate, so they're separate and whatnot. And then I'm going to wreck through them to make it kind of like different design. And I'm going to use 3 colors per cup. So one will maybe have green, blue, and red. Another one might have purple, blue, and yellow. Like it's going to be a variety. So each setup is a little different. So I'm excited about it. Oh, the whole point of these pearl paints, when they dry, they need to be on a darker base for this to work. But when they dry, they shine that color. Like it's very metallic-y, very pearlescent, and like kind of faint, but totally that color, which you'll see when we do the dried version. And you can kind of sometimes see when it's still wet, that like you can see like the edges sometimes, or a hint of the color on the canvas. So So let me get started. I'm going to make the cups really quick. I didn't do that yet, but I'll make them and then we'll get started with the actual big piece. All right. So I want to not know what color I'm picking. I mean, I kind of going to know what that one is, but... So Adrian's gonna mix them up and I'm gonna turn around and cover my eyes because I doubled down. And then when I start to pour, I'll just pick randomly which colors and hopefully turns out nice. Wish me luck. I know what one of them is. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna layer in between with black again so it'll help them pop and they'll separate from each other. Let's get to getting. I'm gonna try to make sure I don't see my little label, which you guys might be able to see, I don't know. The letters are P and then the color. So PR is pearl red, PB pearl blue. I'm not going to talk during this part, and Adrian will just speed it up, but I just wanted you guys to get the vibe. Oh, Adrian edits all of these, in case you couldn't figure that out by now. Okay, now I'm not going to talk. So I don't know if you all notice that I pour at an angle. I do it so that the paint doesn't sink into each other. It slowly stacks on top of itself, which is what I want. That's how I get the layers. If I poured straight in from like up above, it would sink into each other, and that's how you do what's called a dirty cup pour. But I want these to be rings, so secretly I'm hoping that the most commonly picked one I'm doing is blue, but I don't know which one's blue. I feel like that one's blue, but I don't know if it's blue or not. I just, probably because I like it so much, I think it should be in the center. Oh, I can see, you can see through one of them now. All right, got my cups. Don't know what they are, but now I get a peek. I gotta know what this is. Purple? Well, that one's red, I know that. It is blue, I was right, go me. This one's green because I can see through now, and this one must be yellow. That's fun, I like that I was right. So next, I'm gonna pour the base, and what am I doing? Oh, then I'm gonna paint, and then show you the wet version, then the dried version, which is gonna be cool. And yeah, so with the magic of editing, I'm gonna be standing. All right, so here we are. Let's get the base on. There's just a massacre of bugs in here. Let's get some paint on here. Oh, probably, I guess I don't need gloves just yet. Okay, and then I'm going to stretch this out a little bit and pop the air bubbles. These gloves have blue paint on them already. I used them earlier. But they weren't too dirty, I decided to save them. I think we've talked about this before, but the purpose of doing that is to pop any little air bubbles that are in there and get rid of them now rather than later, because if they pop while the painting's drying, it makes little pinpricks. All right, so let's pour these little things and then I'll finish my story. All right, so to pick up where we left off, I walked out of the store and my friend was nowhere to be found. And so I started to panic and like crisis in my head, like catastrophic, the world's ending, I'm gonna die, like nothing positive is gonna happen from this. And then within 30 seconds she came around the corner and I was like, oh my God, I was gonna die. And got in the car really quickly and we drove around, took some rinky-dink photos from in the car. We never got out again. Well, I didn't. I mean, she didn't either, but I wasn't going to. But we went down a one-way the wrong way, and we were, you know, like, we're both from Montana, so Mexico is like really foreign to us. So we didn't know like what was gonna happen. Like we didn't know it was the wrong way. We got stopped by a cop, so we were like, what, or aren't they called federales or something? I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to get thrown in the prisons? And he asked us what was going on. He spoke English decently well. And so he was able to, thankfully, talk to us in the language that we did understand. And we told him what we were trying to do, which was we were trying to leave at that point. We had been there for an hour, and that was enough. And so we couldn't find the exit. Again, didn't have GPS or anything going on like that because didn't use our cell phones back then internationally. So the cop says to us, and I'll never forget this because I find it so funny. It's a turn of phrase that Adrian had never heard before, actually. So maybe it's not as common as I thought, but he said to flip a bitch. Adrian can edit part of that. Hopefully you can hear the most of it. But, and to go back and gave us directions out. So that was great. We got out to the right road and got in line. So there was a really long line to leave the country. And they were checking passports and everything, which, makes sense. You're supposed to look at passports when you go through countries. I still don't know why they didn't even kind of look at ours when we came in. But while we were in line waiting, there were a bunch of people that walked up and down the aisles or the row or whatever that were selling things like just random knickknacks and food. My friend bought lots of stuff. She was like, I want it all. She bought tamales, which I was like, I don't like potlucks and stuff just because I don't know what's going on in other people's kitchens. Like, I don't know how they deal with loose hair and I don't know. I've got issues. But, so she bought some tamales and like random stuff, but then somebody was coming around selling a newspaper and she was like, I've got to have a newspaper. So she bought a newspaper and the front of that newspaper was talking about a murder that had just occurred in Nogales, like in the area the night before. And you know how in like America, there's a lot of censorship. Like, we would never show some things on the front of a magazine. Well, in Nogales, anyways, they don't believe in that. And they show it all. And this guy had been clearly shot, was hanging out the side of his car. And, like, there was a pool. Like, it was just really graphic. And I was very scarred. But I'm going to wreck it now. I'm just going to randomly do it to like, no plan. But we made it out fine. It took, like I said, a while to get through the line, but we got out successfully and got back to the house. That was a big wreck. Got back to the house and then sorry, now I'm trying to decide how I want to wreck. Got back to the house and then, okay, I'm going to repeat the same sentence like 12 times. Okay, we got back to the house and then we did try the tamales. I was brave. I was a big brave boy and tried the tamales and she gave the newspaper. Obviously, I wanted the newspaper. Like, that's a crazy thing to put on a newspaper. But it was really cool. And it was super scary at the time. I wasn't a big fan of the experience then. But now, like I said, I think it's funny and fun. I'm going to tilt it, just FYI. And the whole purpose of telling the story and using the pearlescent paints is because while you see something as a certain way in the moment, like these all look white, the reality of what happens later after you have time to reflect is very different. There's clearly a beauty when it comes to time and being able to reflect on the reality that is your learning experience. So hopefully when this dries, not sure if I'm done yet. When this looks like a clam. When this dries, it'll have a bunch of interesting colors. Like you can kind of see, and I'll point them out in just a second, but not with drippy gloves. You can kind of see some of the colors. Hold on, pause for a second. I'm just trying to think of the composition if I like what I've got. I'm not going to tilt it anymore. I'm going to leave it as is. I do really like it. Like I said, this kind of looks like a clam, which is fun. But let's see if we can find any of the colors. Like this, I think is blue or purple, maybe. See, that looks like a strip of, oh, this definitely feels like it's purple. Here and that right there. This might just be the mix with the black, but I don't know how this is going to dry at all. I don't know the colors. I don't know if layering it like this. I've never seen anybody do it quite like this. Like I've seen puddles where people put puddles on top of puddles. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm hoping it will be cool and that the black won't have overpowered with the layers, but I don't know. So you'll get to, well, I mean, if you see it, most likely it worked out. But you'll get to see in just a few moments after we do the wet version. So be on the edge of your seat with anticipation. There's a song with that, right? Like Rocky Horror Picture Show or something.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
All right, so I'm excited to see how this dries. Like I said, I just thought they're all different. They're also like, this one's pretty solid. Like it didn't get wrecked a lot, even though I wrecked it so much in the end. I wrecked it at the top that went off. This one has got, like, when I was wrecking it, I kind of thought that it was a flower, but now it looks like a clam. This one is just that one. And like, I don't know, they're cool because they're different. These two kind of look like they would be related if they were people or an animal, because, you know, animals can be related. All right, so let's hope that this dries really cool. All right, so here we have it. Can you see the transformation? I mean, I'm pretty sure you saw it halfway through when we did the partially dry shot, but look at this. Look at how crazy different these all are. Look at the different colors, the different like core colors, like this one's super yellow, this one's really blue, this one's really purple, this one's all of them, and then this one's really green. Unfortunately, red got left out, it looks like. It's not as strong. Even, it's probably because I knew what color it was, which thing it was in. But these are so cool looking to me. I can't quit thinking that this is a clamshell. It just very much looks like that to me. But this is what I was talking about when I mentioned that things may look one way initially, but when they have time to change and to solidify and become permanent, they can be a little different. They can look a little different. They can be a little bit nicer to look at. So that is what this is to me. Hopefully you liked it too. Bye.